RV fires. It's a hot topic. Let's talk about it. You don't got to look real hard on the internet to find, instances of some very scary, catastrophic looking things. But what really causes most RV fires and how can you prevent it? That's what I want to talk about today. So if you appreciate how we take a moment to share some safety tips, whether you buy from us or not, new or used, buy from a private owner, this is something you want to pay attention to today or share with your favorite camping group. I think the majority of people probably assume that this is probably the greatest source for RV fires. Your whole cooking situation, it's where you literally can have an open flame. There's grease, there's flammable things, oil's getting thrown around. But surprisingly, cooking related fire, stove, oven, or even furnace even included, that not that you should be, cooking hot dogs on your furnace, but sometimes you got to get creative. Anyway, those actually only, it's less than 8% of RV fires. It's actually the fourth most common cause. It's not even in the top 3. So what is the biggest thing you should be looking at? Well, it turns out the most common causes of RV fires are actually items that would normally fall under the realm of preventative maintenance. In the case of a motorized RV, which I don't have one here to use as a backdrop, the most common causes are actually something like leaking fluids, resulting from a hose or fitting or something like that that was overlooked or neglected, and routine preventative maintenance items were not performed under the engine. That's one of the things that I've noticed over the years with the motorized RV, options that are out there. I don't think a lot of people, because they're not actively using it, they don't realize they need to be maintaining it. Like if you get in the used RV market, when people trade something in, it's actually super common. They're like, man, I found a 2003 with only 13,000 miles on it. That's actually potentially problematic. Unless that engine has been actively maintained and run periodically, a lot of the hoses and fittings and stuff have a way of basically dry rotting, and you actually need to periodically use an engine and run it for a little bit to keep it in better working order, because that helps push lubricants and stuff. Engines aren't made to sit. They're designed to use, and when you do let them sit for a while, stuff starts to fail. And depending on what leaks out and what hot thing it touches, that could spark a really bad afternoon for you. But whether it's towable or motorized, one of the single most common locations to experience a fire is actually right down here at ground level. The tires, the axles, the brakes, the bearings, these things generating far too much heat for various reasons are pretty much one of the most common sources for fires. And what makes that so exceptionally dangerous is because of their location. Fire is hot, heat travels up, fire wants to climb, and if a fire starts down here, it wants to run its way up there. So having, what can you do to prevent this, basically? One of the first things you really want to do is empower and protect yourself by learning your RV's PM routines, your preventative maintenance schedules. Now, in my experience, I used to be the guy that would examine, like if you were going to trade in the RV, I was the looker-atter before we made everything final. I was the guy that got really good at finding where the problems were and what the most common problems would be. And in my experience, the majority of those were preventable items, such as like roof seal maintenance, upkeep, stuff like that. But a lot of people purchase an RV and want to use it to have fun, but it's not fun to give back and maintain the RV, but that's what you need to do. The trick is, this industry on the whole has done a terrible job of educating you on what you need to do. And this includes not just RV manufacturers, but RV dealers as well. And I think there's a fear factor involved in there. I think that a lot of people who have money riding on this, they're like, wait a minute, if people find out what they need to do to take care of these, they might be less inclined to buy one. So you don't tend to hear a lot about that until after you've bought it, if at all. It almost reminds me of like before seatbelts were a mandatory item in vehicles. Auto manufacturers fought it. They're like, what do you mean? cars are safe. What do you mean cars aren't safe? Well, that's kind of what I'm talking about right here. You need to know what to take care of these. Now, I want to give some credit. There are more and more builders who are doing a better job at this, whether it's in their owner's manuals, which historically sucked, but many are starting to get better. But like I noticed something recently going through a Durango fifth wheel. KZRV actually includes a chart inside one of their cabinets where it's easy to tuck away, but also easy to reference, telling you, here's the things you should do periodically to take care of your RV. And that right there is like a massive step forward in not only preventing problems, but just, in preventing problems and going out and having a good time. So many of the failure points are actually preventable, but I don't blame customers for that because typically no one has taken time to tell you about this stuff. In case you're curious, I will have a separate video kind of running you through those suggested TLC routines, but for now, what are the things you can do to prevent the most common fire occurrences? One of the best things you can do is start the habit of a pre-trip inspection, and a lot of that is just coming around visually or getting like a tire pressure monitoring system, or just the old hook it onto the valve stem and get an idea of the PSI. But you want to actually check your tire's PSI. It's called a cold PSI rating before you go running down the road. That's when you want to make sure your tires are at the correct PSI. Tires will get warmer as you travel, as they roll down the road and friction occurs. But that's basically built in and accounted for. You want to check the PSI rating on the tire before you go screaming down the road. Now, a mistake that a lot of people very easily make, they forget to check the spare. A lot of people are fairly decent about checking the tires on the ground, but they forget to check the PSI or the weather checking or whatever on their spare tire. Now, some RVs will belly mount a spare and make it very difficult to do that, but I highly recommend, if you don't take care of the spare tire and you have a flat, a blowout, any sort of travel issue tire related like that going down the road, and your spare isn't up to snuff, well, it didn't actually do you any good. So ladies, if you have a husband who checks the tire pressure on your personal vehicle at home and he checks your spare, that's a guy that genuinely loves you and wants to keep you around. Another thing you really want to do at basically any travel stop is do a 360 walk around on your RV. It's surprising how many times you're like, oh my gosh, what happened here, there, or wherever that you didn't even realize. But one of the other things that you want to do is just kind of come over and put your hands on or near the tires, on or near this. Start by going near it and don't just overtly touching it to make sure they're not generating excessive heat. You want to visibly eyeball, say, like your tire's wear and tear lines, because if you notice the left side or the right side or the middle wearing out before the rest of the tire, that could mean, well, it doesn't, it's not could mean, it means that you definitely have some problem. Exactly what it is, it depends on the way the tire's wearing. It could be PSI related. It could be a bent and or failing axle that'll leave you stranded. Those little travel stop walkarounds are also a really good way to make sure, like, oh, hey, my bike rack is still on the back of this thing, or my brake light cover isn't missing. You don't got to search Facebook real hard to occasionally find somebody going down the road missing some of the stuff that was there before they left. Also accounting for 15% of all RV fires are electrical related items. So it's not just the running gear, but more common than propane fires are actually electrical fires. And there could be a lot of different causes for it, but what you want to do periodically, inspect the physical condition of things like your actual power cord, your power cord inlet where it attaches to the RV. Find little spots where it looks like it's flexing or wearing. If there's ever any sort of discoloration on here, that could be a result of heat buildup. And if that goes on for too long, that could become a fire in a hurry. So let's pretend this is our power hookup right here, even though it's obviously a marker light. If you see little funny color discolorations above that, it means that it was wafting smoke up because it was right on the verge of going nuclear. And you want to be ahead of that, because here's the thing, what can you do in the event that you do have a fire? And I think a lot of people's first instinct is to say, well, I mean, the RV's got a fire extinguisher, I would grab that, right? First of all, a lot of people just leave these things attached in the RV you know, where they come shipped. There's a little bracket by the door where they're required to be in a very easy to access location. And a lot of times they either sit like this or like this or like this or whatever. But what they don't realize is there's essentially like a powder in here that will settle. Like eventually it just kind of settles down inside this cylinder and it starts to slowly form a brick. As you bounce down the road, it gets kind of compacted essentially. One of the things you should do with extreme regularity is take this thing off and just shake the living crap out of it. And like the next time you mount it this way, then mount it this way. Like try to always mount it a little bit different way to help keep everything loose inside of here. The other thing a lot of people don't realize is that these little gauges, if it even has a gauge, because not all RV fire extinguishers even have a gauge. Sometimes these gauges aren't reliable. If they just sort of sit there for a while and they get kind of like seized in place. When you pick it up, it's a good idea to like knock on this thing like a refrigerator with a salad dressing inside to make sure that that needle is actually still able to like move the way that it should. All that, well, these things also have a date range on them. You need to check to see if it's like still good and valid. But all that being said, the best thing to do in the event of an RV fire, it's an easy process, goes by 4 letters, GTFO. Get the out of there. Get the flip out of there. Because these things are made with very flammable materials. Many of them are made with tons of wood product, which is water starved, which is just begging to soak up water or fire, whatever, you know. It wants to go up like a matchstick, and they can burn so hot and so fast, so quickly that you don't have time to mess with it. The very best thing you can do is get out of there and tell everybody to get away from this thing. If there's any sort of ability to, you feel safely do this, turning off the propane bottles real quick up front can be handy. That's why RV manufacturers are not able to ship propane tanks in locking compartments so that people can get to them and turn them off quickly. But the best thing to do is to get out, call a professional, get away from that thing. Get your family out and get away from it and get anyone else around there away from it, because it could grow and travel and spread so quick and easy. And I've talked about this before, but in a couple years, about every couple years, there's something like 4,000 RV fires out there, which is, I don't know if that sounds high or low to you, but it's not nothing, you know. And there are, on average, every year, 15 deaths and 125 injuries related to RV fires. And every year, give or take, about 60 million in damages resulting from RV fires. I would love to help prevent you from being part of that statistic. That's why I wanted to put this out today. So if you appreciate that, if you appreciate that we want to educate you, put your safety before the fear of losing a sale, hit that little subscribe button. And if there's something else you'd like to learn about, know about, never hesitate to drop a little message and I'll do my best to fill it in. I don't know it all, but I'm always learning and I'm always trying to share to help the next person cut the learning curve a little bit quicker. So till next time, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.